What's going on, everybody? The Big Cheese. Hope everyone's having a great day. Welcome to Whiskey Breathe. I told you guys the podcast would be a little bit different. I recorded a podcast the other day. It's not quite ready to go, but I want to do a little video cast to make it a little bit different. I told you we'd mix it up. So I'm standing here today working on a few things for the business, and I happen to see that they're still trying to elect a Speaker of the House. I want to talk about that for a few minutes. I want to talk about the Damar Hamlin thing with the Bills the other day. I just want to give you guys a little bit of an update as to what's going on with Whiskey Breathe. So, first things first, let's talk about this whole Speaker of the House deal. They're on their fifth ballot now. McCarthy has seemingly lost votes. So the Republican majority is infighting. They've elected Donalds today. They elected Jim Jordan yesterday. And then Jeffries, over on the Democrat side, still continues to lead the voting at 212, but you have to have a majority. So unless 20 of those votes on the extra for the Republican side switched over to the Democrats, which would never happen, this could go on forever. So the entire House is still elected officials. Nobody in the House has actually been sworn in. Essentially, we have a Senate, and we have a presidency, and we have a Supreme Court. We don't have a House. So, kind of a big deal. And let me try something here. That's a little bit better. A little bit darker, a little bit better. But anyways, we don't have a House. And I find that just historically appealing because this is the first time that a majority-controlled speaker was not elected on the first ballot, or the second, or the third, fourth, and now fifth. And more than likely, we will go to a sixth ballot today. And for whatever reason, they just keep going to a ballot, roll call, because nobody's going to vote in favor of one person at this point. So it sounds like we could just sit here for like 4 or 5 days until someone gets their head out of their rear end and ultimately votes or recommend somebody to be voted on the ballot that everyone can agree to. It's really kind of silly, honestly, but we've seen this working out for a while, and I think ultimately there's a sector of that Republican Party that wants change that benefits them, change that's their style. It's the Boberts, the Biggs, the Matt Gaetz. It's that group of the Republicans that really I wouldn't even classify as modern. They're modern Republicans. They're not traditional Republicans. And however you vote, I don't care. And ultimately, it's about disagreeing on here. I don't like that group of the Republicans. I get some of their points, and I understand what they're trying to do. But ultimately, they're making this party really just look like a joke. Come on. Figure it out. Work together. You're the House, for God's sakes, but this is mostly the group that didn't want to certify the election either. So it is what it is. We're going to talk about the Damar Hamlin situation on Monday Night Football. And first things first, I know a lot of people out there think that the COVID vaccine has caused some things like myocarditis with heart issues. And there are some connections there that it sounds like it could be true. There's not enough data for me to overwhelmingly say I agree with that, but I don't think it immediately had nothing to do with the COVID shot. There are and there have been situations that I could see why people would think that, but for this one in particular, just as soon as I saw the impact and what happened, it reminded me of baseball players, a hockey player in 1996. Someone posted the clip on Twitter the other night when that was going on, but I remember it vaguely. I remember watching it, and the guy got hit in the chest with a puck off slap shot, collapsed, went into cardiac arrest. They call it a heart concussion. Basically, you hit at the right moment in your chest, and it causes you to go into cardiac arrest. So it's a really kind of scary thing. But it's also a reminder that life comes at you fast, man. Like, a lot can change. Like, you could trip and fall out of the shower and not be here tomorrow. You could fall down the steps of your house and die, right? You could get hit by anything in the chest or in the head at the right angle. And and perish. So things are wild. I was disappointed in the number of people that were talking about it being directly related to the COVID vaccine. I mean, if he just fell over, yeah, I get it. But there was a whole build up to that. He got hit. That stuff takes a second to click in. You could see obviously something wasn't right when he stood up. He very stiff looking. He stood up and he was like, oh, and he falls over. Definitely something. That game just started. 1971, Chuck Hughes died. There was only a few minutes left. So they finished that game. It was a really odd situation. It was Lions and Bears. Racing historically, Dale Earnhardt Sr. was the end of the race. Ayrton Senna's incident was early in the race. They continued that race and finished it. Unfortunately, told all those guys at the end of the race what happened, and it was a very somber moment. Dan Weldon, Vegas. Where the way the broadcast was Monday night was somberly reminiscent of Vegas. And don't get me wrong, part of me thought it was going to be really bad news coming out of this because it was 2-3 hours after it happened, and there was no updates other than they administered CPR in the field. They rushed him to the hospital. That was it. And that's always, in the racing world, been a really negative thing. No updates are usually a bad thing. Right? It's horrible to hear. You need something that comes out that says, here's an update. Like he had vitals or she had vitals or something, right? We didn't get that. And then about 11:45, it might have been shortly after that, one of ESPN's reporters said they talked to somebody, I would assume it was their public relations person at UC Hospital, and they said there'll be no press conference tonight. There'll be no updates. And I tweeted that was a good thing. If there was a chance that it was progressing and improving, they weren't going to say anything until they had true updates to provide. And allow the family to provide those updates. And that's what they did. So that was a really good thing when they said there was no updates. But, it just, too much of it reminded me of Weldon. They didn't finish that race, and that was the point I was going. They didn't complete the race. I think it was like lap 3, and they didn't finish it. And it's probably the right thing to do. But I do remember some of those guys like Dario Franchitti and such, they were saying that it was really hard for them to get back in the car afterwards. But they did the dedication laps, the parade laps, in his honor, and that helped a little bit. I see why they didn't finish the game. I see why they didn't finish the race. But me, kind of old school, I'm not that old, in my 30s, but old school, I would want to keep playing. I know it's a really sick and twisted thing to say, and I feel awful for feeling that way, but that's just me. Strap it in, let's get back at it, let's shut off all the noise outside and do what I do. I'm the type of person that, unfortunately, when family members have passed away, I just kept moving. Next day was go to work, do my thing. That's how I handle it. It's not right, probably, but it's the way I handle it. So would love to hear if anybody agrees with that statement. I doubt anybody will. And I hope that you'll leave a comment down below and let me know. Am I absolutely crazy? Am I wrong? Am I a bad person? I don't. It's just, I hope not. I mean, it's just how I handle things, right? Like, it's got me through a lot. It's not the right way to cope with loss, but it helped me. And then lastly, if you're still watching and listening, I know it's not been a super long version of this podcast. It's like my video cast. I want to give you guys a brief update on what's going on with Whiskey Breathe. Now, Whiskey Breathe was an endeavor I started back like early November, late October. It was supposed to be fun. It was supposed to be a place for me to kind of let off some steam, talk about things in the real world, and then tie in a podcast and YouTube channel that allowed me to bring on guests that I could have conversations with. Bring in guests that I could have large varieties of conversations with. Whether I agreed with their opinions on certain things, like Speaker of the House, or the Damar Hamlin situation, and how I would have handled it, politics, sports, whatever it is, we just haven't gotten there yet. we haven't really been able to capture anybody that wants to come on and talk. I would love if you disagree with me and you're able to communicate in a proper, professional manner. Send me a video. I'll include our website, contact information down below. Send me a video. It's a couple of minutes long. Pick a topic that you want to talk about and just give me your reasoning. Pretend you're debating me, but do it in a professional manner. We're always going to agree to disagree on everything, especially politics and sports. But this is a chance for you to share your opinion. Tell me why you feel the way you feel. And know that if I feel the opposite way, that we can be grown adults and accept those differences. So because of that, a lot of people don't want to join the show. A lot of people want to listen to the show, but not a lot of people want to join. And that's probably my own fault because I've approached a lot of my friends to do it. And, one thing they say you don't talk about with friends or in business is politics, and the other is religion. And we're hitting one of them right with a hammer upside the head. And I think a lot of people are afraid that we're going to disagree so much that we might ruin our friendship. And I hope they don't feel that way because I really, truly appreciate differences. I love to talk to people that completely feel the opposite of me. I would love to know why the Republicans can't get along with each other and just pick a speaker. And they're going to fight over it, and they're going to keep electing other people to fight against him to be this position just out of spite. So I would love to know why. I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Dude, just get along. Figure it out. You don't have to target everything and blame everything on not everything has to be showmanship, right? You don't always have to have this hot button, hot take on everything, right? President Biden crashed his bicycle. Oh, we're going to talk about how old and frail it is. I crash my bicycle all the time. It's like a teenager. Why is that such a big deal? He's older. Dude, he fell. Who cares? But yeah, I'm afraid people don't want to come on and talk because we're going to disagree. But the whole point of this was to disagree and understand one another. So yeah, if you want to possibly get on the podcast, send me a recorded video or send me a recording. We can do it YouTube like this. We can do it over like a video call, or we can just do it simple old school podcast style. And then lastly, on Whiskey Breathe, we're going to introduce something new. So I wrote a personal blog on there the other day because I promised everybody when I first started this that I talked to, every now and then I'd mix in personal things that are going on in my life. My opinion and kind of my suggestions on people that go through the same things that I go through. And I hope that people take a time or a chance to just read it. See what it's about. Sometimes I'll write about sports, and that's mostly what's on the blog right now. Other times I'm going to write about politics. I'm going to write about this tonight, this whole Speaker of the House business. And then other times I'm going to write about me, because it's about me. The blog is about my life. It is sharing my life, my thoughts with other people. My opinions. That's it. They don't have to be right or wrong, but I'm going to do new stuff on top of myself, like writing about myself. And that's going to be, I'm looking right now to start an e-gaming team. I'm torn. I play a lot of Call of Duty, I play a lot of sports games, and those are really two big markets in e-gaming. But there's also the Overwatch crowd, or the Valorant. There's also the Fortnite teams that exist. I don't play Fortnite. I haven't in 3 or 4 years. I sucked at it. Didn't like it. Just didn't understand all this build crap. I know they brought out the no build, and I got better at it, but I just never really figured it out. So the Whiskey Breathe e-gaming is going to be kind of a separate entity, but we're going to put together a team once I figure out what we're going to play. And we'll have some tryouts. We'll schedule some tryouts. Probably going to be on the weekends, Saturday nights, Sunday morning, Saturday morning, something like that. And then that will happen after I figure out what type of tournaments we're going to go into. So just keep your eyes peeled. We'll have that e-gaming announcement once it's all up. So whether it's esports, whether it's Call of Duty, first-person shooter, third-person shooter, whatever we may end up playing. We'll put it together. We'll have a lot of fun. Maybe we'll create little, separate groups for each type of gaming, because I like both. And I really love sports gaming, but the state of sports gaming is not as good as it once was. And anyways, that's it, guys. I appreciate you stopping by, listening to the video version of the Whiskey Breathe podcast. And look forward to possibly some of you out there getting on the show with me. Would love to have guests. Like I said, we're going to agree to disagree, and we're going to smile about it, have a drink afterwards, because we're going to make best friends out of it. I don't care if you disagree with me. Let's make this work. So drop those in the email on the website and down below. And ultimately, be sure to subscribe. Visit our website, whiskeybreathe.com. For everything else Whiskey Breathe, stay tuned.